Who's going to stop the hackers? It's no longer a secret that auto transport scams and online fraud are causing national incidences of vehicle theft, expanding insurance claims, and growing losses into the millions. Scammers are now redirecting drivers to deliver cars into thieves' hands, forcing a new broker advisory board to step up. So please say hello, make new friends, grow your network, and learn from the best on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where everyone learns more about how the automotive industry works. Please do jump into the news with me here on, what do we got? Auto transport hackers and theft, FMCSA fraud fighting team, and the new EV drill Lance fire extinguisher. Wow. At the quarter hour, we've got Dan Sperau and Dizon going to join us talking about the broker advisory board. And in the panel, we have Alisha Buelt, John Robertson, and Domenic Hooven. So we have an interesting show here. A few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, it was brought to my attention that this is an urgent situation. We need to do a show. We put it together. Broker advisory board is a new, I guess that's a new thing. I don't even know if it's official, but it is brokers coming together to fight fraud in auto transport. And we're asking the question, who's going to stop the hackers? What do we do? We've seen that auto transport scams are growing. If you work in auto transport, you probably already know. You may have already been hacked. You may know somebody that has lost a vehicle. Maybe you've been diverted to deliver a vehicle to the wrong location, and it was actually theft. So now there's an advisory board. We're going to learn more about it tonight. That's the purpose of the show. You know, I always say, get to know your ecosystem. Don't just know your vertical. That is so common, and it's overdone. We got new, used, dealer, auction, logistics, and more, all on one channel. It's called ATI. Tonight, so Dan Sperau is going to help lead the conversation. He is the COO, co-founder at AutoSled. Gil is Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel at Montway. Dan and Gil are going to kick us off with what's been happening and what led us to this show. In the panel, we're going to bring in Alisha Buelt. She is SVP Product and Strategy at ACERTUS. John Robertson, Executive Vice President and CRO at SYCN Auto Logistics. And also Domenic Hooven, Logistics Supervisor at Pre-Owned Auto Logistics. They're all going to be joining in the panel. This is the perfect place for this conversation. This is your neutral zone. This isn't one company talking. This is topics in the industry that are important. And speaking of, time is money. Which clock is your biggest problem? We're going to get into another neutral zone topic at Used Car Week next month. Lenders moving repo cars, old habits die hard. I told you I wouldn't focus on just one vertical. I'm helping build bridges within all of them. If you see a need and a bridge and it's not a company-specific issue, this is an industry-wide topic, bring it on to ATI on Automotive Ecosystem, Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. For example, last week we had Terry Shabesta talking about vehicle leasing. And what a background. Terry is a really interesting guy. I recommend checking out, and you know, you don't have to watch the whole episode. If you go to the ATI Auto Business YouTube channel, you look down in the video descriptions below the video, find the time code that you like, go there, get 5 minutes, get out of there. I understand. If you've got time on Thursdays, tune into Industry Logistics. We had last week, why should you watch more ATI? In the video description there, you will find, I believe we gave 7 reasons. And if you were looking for some fun this Thursday, we got the Halloween special, because it's Halloween. That's actually my costume. And help us play Guess That Halloween Costume, broker, carrier, dispatcher, shipper, or repo agent. It's fun and accurate. All right, let's do some news. Here we go. It's 5 minutes after. Two luxury cars stolen, $500K. Thief hacks into car carrier. Two separate incidences. This was reported a couple months ago. To me, this is when I first heard of hacking in auto transport probably 2 years ago. And at that time, it felt just like pure speculation. We didn't know what to say. In fact, as soon as we brought it up, already some people got upset. Now, it's hitting the news. This is how real it's gotten. In this news story, 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLS 600 Maybach worth about $200,000, one of the luxury cars that was stolen. The heist began when Dealer's Choice Auto Transport, by the way, give it up to Dealer's Choice Auto Transport for letting them be quoted in this news story. That shocked me too. But this is important. They were scheduled for delivery of a luxury car to a customer in Hollywood, Florida. Very simple process. Dealership calls you up. You ask for the information. Where you pick it up, delivering to, said the owner. Everybody, that's normal. All of a sudden, delivery location changed from Hollywood to Miami. The criminal actually hacked in the driver's portal, knew what vehicles were being transported. They knew what was going on. The thief happened to reach out to the driver, acting as if they were the receiving party, gave all the right info, told him where the car was supposed to go. Delivery driver took a picture of the man who received the car, thank goodness. After the delivery driver realized something was wrong, it wasn't over. Then he started to text the owner. And the owner told the thief, "You stole from the wrong guy." And the thief replied, "That's what the guy with the Cullinan said as well." Followed by another text, "Thanks for the free Maybach, dog." The thief later added, "Bro, car already in Dubai or Europe, you guess," followed by a picture of a torn up floorboard where a GPS tracker is normally hidden. The Cullinan Rolls Royce that was mentioned by the thief, Steve Weissman with Limited Spec Automotive, said it belonged to him. That vehicle had never arrived to him. He said he also experienced a similar situation regarding how the thief stole his car. And the driver received a text message from a random phone number. I actually have that phone number. He received a text message saying, "Hey, you have my Cullinan." Same story. Very frustrating. More than frustrating. And then they say if you have information, call the police. It has gone beyond that now. We're going to be talking about that. By the way, I share this slide because then I had heard that I guess that broker switched from one load board to another load board because of that incident. Does that mean it's all solved? Surely not. In fact, here is a memo that I had to redact because this stuff's being talked about, but we can't talk about it. Be aware of recent increase in vehicle theft regarding vehicle transport to auction as well as dealer trades. Illicit organizations have hacked into dispatching software, are arriving before the actual transport company with the intent of theft. Best practices include contact logistics coordinator, get the DOT number on the truck, get the company name, take a photo of the license plate, photo of the car, request the BOL. We don't even know what a problem this is. And then, as I search to find out what news, I'm finding videos. Man, this is getting out of control. And it's gone from this, and this video is another story of a potential scam, almost scam. So whose fault is it? What do we do? The FMCSA has been approached. They say that they're helping to fight fraud. They'll improve safety, and they're going to start with registration. And the question comes up, well, is this an FMCSA problem? Because the FMCSA is a safety organization. Does fraud have to do with safety? Well, they say it will improve safety. That's good. It hopes new architecture and procedures will stem the rising tide of cargo theft and various forms of fraud. When fraud activity takes money out of the carrier's pocket, they might not be able to afford new tires, new brakes, you name it, and that is a safety issue. They talked about their new registration system, simplified menus, applicants to an ID verification service through a third party called, I guess, Ademia, the same company the Transportation Security Administration uses to screen passengers on flights. The new steps of verification tool share a focus on stopping bad actors. Wow. The industry is experiencing quite a bit of fraud coming from just every direction. Insurance, process agent, carrier, broker, all directions. And if you got the FMCSA interested, well, then it must be a real issue. They got a 5-person registration fraud fighting team now, keeping motor carrier broker PIN numbers out of electronic communications. Yeah, intercepting emails, that's another problem, and text messaging, as well as the load boards themselves. Then here, Central Dispatch says they've got a new FMCSA verification checklist on their site. DOT, MC, type of business, MCS, out of service date, etc. And then information about what you need to know. As far as I can tell, pretty much everything I've said in the last 10 minutes is pretty new. In other news, Hyundai Glovis deploys special EV fire extinguisher on car shipping vessels. I know this news isn't for everybody. If you only love EV, you may want to turn the channel. A logistics affiliate of Hyundai Motor Group said Thursday that it started supplying the EV drill Lance to its shipping vessels. The new tool uses water pressure to drill a hole in the underbody of the car. Wow, that's some serious water pressure. To directly reach the battery pack, extinguishing a fire in a more effective manner. The water-powered drill reaches the battery pack in under 2 minutes, extinguishes the fire in less than 30 minutes. That's what it takes to put out an EV fire. The EV drill Lance on car-carrying ships has been optimized for maritime transport. The handles have been made adjustable to adapt to tight environments, and LED lights have been added to provide better visibility. The new drills will also come with a custom backpack for faster deployment on site. Dealers everywhere want to know how to get one. And Waymo completes $5.6 billion funding round, as well as Automotive News gets a new look. Waymo self-driving tech has closed $5.6 billion funding round. Now, for this is for their driverless commercial robotaxi service. Now, $5 billion of it, they got $5.6 billion. $5 billion comes from their parent company. So I don't know if this is just a press release and a commercial. That company being Alphabet. But $600 million from outside firms. People are pretty interested. Waymo already operates, yeah, get this, 650 robotaxis in Phoenix and San Francisco. They're going to start service soon in LA and Austin in early 2025, and then go to Atlanta. The company surpassed an average of 100,000 weekly riders in August. This month, Waymo unveiled a partnership with Hyundai, which the automaker's Ioniq 5 electric EV vehicles will be used as the tech firm's robo-taxi platforms. Note to carrier, look for hauling Ioniq 5 EVs to LA and Austin. Waymo also started curbside service at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. All right. Industry logistics. Why did I bring this up? Oh, I wanted to mention, shout out, for companies looking to share interesting data in auto transport. Thursdays is the place. ClearPath TMS recently shared, based on data coming through their platform, 5 most common damage areas. Bumper, door left front, bumper, so you have front bumper, left front door, rear bumper, and then major damage and roof. 5 most common damage types. Scratch. Is this the type that the driver chose or the type that it actually is? I think it's probably, that was a little pessimistic, Jay. Pretty cool stuff. Share it. And in fact, that's why I urge anybody with stuff like this that if you're emailing carriers important updates, do you think they're opening those emails? Bring it to ATI on Thursdays. Got an open window on carrier problem? Bring it to ATI on Thursdays. You want to talk about which trailers are approved or not approved? Bring it to ATI on Thursdays and want to talk about how we doing in possible rollover situations for carriers that haven't thought about proper weight distribution, bring it to ATI on Thursdays. I just saw this today when I was shuffling around the news. Stellantis sues one of their auto suppliers, and it led me again to think about the "what are you talking about" segment tonight. What are you talking about, and what do you actually stand for? When I found out that tonight's show would feature several brokerages coming together on one issue, I was shocked. When I found out there were memos and conversations that could not be talked about, not shocked. After we put together the show, shared it on LinkedIn, got very little response, again, not shocked. And after watching the show, if people give it a like, yes, I will be shocked. It's the passive-aggressive silence I see everywhere that no longer shocks me. I've come to expect it. We're far beyond competition now. It's a war of silence and echo chambers. It's no longer really about information. It's about company lines and brands and Kool-Aid. It's about ownership and control. And we'll sue anybody that gets in our way. If it ain't going to lead to new business, we ain't doing it. In fact, we're against it. But for sure, we're going to pretend it's all about relationships and leadership and how cars are people too. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you really stand for? Could it be that you're working so hard at trying to be a private club rock star that you've lost your imagination? Is that why you love Halloween so much? You could be your freaky self one day a year? Is that all we get? Surely you can work something into your next podcast episode. After all, isn't that why you're already struggling with it? Tell us about a real problem. You don't have to have the solution. You don't have to wear a costume. Just be real. When I see elements of shows I've put together or words I've used, shared in other people's content, I'm not shocked. And when I see people say something honest from their heart, something new, I'm almost always shocked. So what happened? What do you stand for? I can't wait to find out. And that's the memo. We are going to have a great show tonight. And ATI is where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. And I'm doing the memo now because it has gotten so strange out there in social media land that I've just got to say something. I just have to. But at the same time, I am running an automotive channel where we're going to talk about new and used dealer and auction logistics. And I figure I can add individualism into the mix. Because I don't ship cars. I move information. That's what I do. I've been doing it for years. You can get the podcast. You know about the channel. You can go to ATIautobusiness.com. And yes, we're about to do a show about who's going to stop the hackers. So do me a favor, stick around, because right after this, we're going to be live with Dan and Gil, and you don't want to miss it.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our Price Watch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Auto Hauler Exchange has revolutionized the way vehicle haulers and vehicle shippers collaborate. The Exchange B2B marketplace connects vehicle haulers directly to shippers in a frictionless manner. The Exchange helps vehicle haulers maximize their capacity while eliminating empty miles. The Exchange is the first true B2B marketplace of its kind in the vehicle logistics industry. By connecting carriers and shippers directly, carriers can save time and choose which opportunities fit their needs each day. At the same time, shippers can rest assured that their vehicles are being moved by qualified, vetted carriers who fit their vetting program. The Auto Hauler Exchange has democratized the vehicle logistics industry by eliminating the middlemen and connecting shippers directly to available carriers.
All right, we need to brainstorm for this commercial. How do we show our audience that we're the best auto transport platform in the industry?
Oh, we need to show them our dispatch manager. Optimizing routes has never been easier.
We should definitely show them our EDI management screen. Managing contracts is simple with ClearPath's EDI toolkit. Who doesn't want to work with the big manufacturers?
These are all great ideas, but we need to highlight what makes us special.
Sure, we can talk about all our awesome features, but the bottom line is we invest in every single one of our clients, giving them the power to scale up and increase their revenue.
That's perfect.
ClearPath TMS, mic check 1, 2, 3, wants to help you with your auto transport business platform needs, software, email, chat, API, EDI integration. Check out ClearPath TMS. Request your demo now. Visit clearpathtms.com. All right, here we go. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to Dan and Gil. Can you see me and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
I can.
All right, great. Dan, let's start with you. Dan, please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Thanks for having us, Jay. I'm Dan Sperau. I'm one of the co-founders of AutoSled, 360 Marketplace. It's been in business since 2019, a lifelong retail car guy. I've been on Jay's show before, and I've love what he does. I'm excited to be here tonight, and excited to be on here with Gil and some other great brokers.
Thank you, Dan. Gil, please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Thanks, Jay, for having me on the show tonight. My name is Gil Dizon. I'm the Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel of Montway, based out of the Chicagoland area. I've been an attorney for 28 years, and I've been with Montway for about a year and a half now.
Thanks, Gil. Really nice to meet you. Dan, great to have you back. Hey, Dan, we're live, but do me a favor. Pull your screen a little bit towards. You got a lot of headroom there, and I'm gonna be thinking about it. So, all right, you're good. I appreciate that. So, listen, here's where we're at. In fact, where are we at? We got a broker advisory board. What is that?
Well, we were invited out to Phoenix by a large company who asked all the 15 biggest brokerage houses in the country to come out and meet and talk about a product they were looking to get out and cycle. And we all met Gil for the first time. I knew some of the other people from Montway, Tom and the chairman, and a lot of the other guys we met from ACERTUS and such. And after that meeting, we all we looked at each other and said, we're facing the same problems as brokers, and we're competitors, but we're facing the same type of issues. Let's put something together to try to help each other out. Tom Garland from Montway was kind enough to have Gil come on board as part of the legal aspect to make sure we're not defaming anyone or doing anything inappropriate. And Gil's been great, and his team have really helped lead this charge in trying to really stem the issues that we see in our industry, whether it's from fraud, from bad actors, just problems that we see, trends we're seeing, to try to help each other out and get this cleaned up. And it's been an amazing start. It's been about a year now, I think, and it's been great.
Gil, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so that's exactly how it happened. Tom came back from this meeting out in Phoenix, Arizona, and mentioned that he'd like to get this advisory board started, volunteered my services, and since then, we have monthly meetings to discuss, again, various topics that we're experiencing. And the latest topic, probably since mid-August, September, it has been, the vehicle theft and the fraud that we're witnessing, and some of us that are experiencing. The coming together with 13 other companies, with people that have been in the industry for several decades, it has been beneficial not only to me personally, but to our company as well. And beyond that, Dan and I think we've spoken probably over the last year several times, on other topics such as insurance, what we're experiencing with the carrier's insurance. But over the last, particularly the last couple of months, we call each other up, talk about, hey, this happened to us. Is it similar to what happened to you? So it's been a really helpful for all of us to come together. There's a saying, coming together as a group speaks more volumes than one company. It's to get the message out.
I'm going to say this now, is that if there is some kind of, if we're unable to focus on the problem at hand, which is fraud, scams, theft, hackers, etc., and this turns into some legal back alley of problems, that'll be my next show. Because I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's what this industry needs. What this industry needs is, first we need to talk about what are the problems. And again, that's why you saw Dealer's Choice Auto Transport, that article. I think it's awesome that they just went in and said, yes, it was our company. We had this problem because we got to, right? It's the only way we can talk about the issue is if we actually talk about the issue.
Yeah, I mean,
and
if,
so
if
there's
you know Steve,
yeah.
If you know Steve, I mean, I've known Stevie Reed for a long time. Steve is a no nonsense kind of guy, and I'm not surprised he was willing to put his name out there, because he's been doing this for I believe close to 30 years, I believe. And it's happening across all of our industries. And like Gil said, we do our best to try to share information. Look, again, we all play in the sandbox, and we all want the biggest piece of the sandbox. But at the end of the day, if things are going wrong in this industry and we're not sharing information with others, shame on us, because if it's not me, it's going to be Gil next. And if it's Gil and not me, it's going to be me next, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get out here and make everyone aware of really what's going on. Like you said, identify the problem, and then how do we solve it? How do we continue to push the people who are experiencing the pain, like us, like AutoSled has? We lost a car, and it's hard. It's a frustrating endeavor. And trust me, it was interesting that you said that he was taunted by text, as were we. That thank you for the car, and you guys are a bunch of fools, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very interesting that this is continuing going on. And the more information we get out there, and hopefully we can push some people. And Gil can speak to it with the FMCSA. We've been in contact. The Montway got a call with them and tried to start this process of how do we make them aware and how they can help us.
I want to say this, is that what I find interesting about the text is that hacker was lying. That thing was still in the U.S., but he was trying to make Steve feel like it was already overseas to throw him off the trail. That is how, this is how the police interrogations work. They compare facts. They look at previous cases. They start to see patterns. They know what's happening. That's what we have to do here.
Yeah.
So, what happened? How did it happen? And that's the hacking. Okay, let's talk about specific examples before I bring our panel in. What is a specific example, without naming names or, any confidential information, about a recent theft, hack, scam, or fraud that's happened?
Well, I think one of the common things that's happening now is a company's credentials. Let's say whether it's a broker or a carrier's credentials from a particular load board is being hacked, and they're using that information to compromise the brokers, seeing what's posted. And that's really how it's happening from what we've been seeing. We've also have seen where hackers are getting, either brokers or carriers FMCSA registrations changed, their telephone numbers and emails. It's not just happening with the load boards; it's happening on the FMCSA.
All right, so a couple more examples. Okay, load board hacked.
Yep.
FMCSA info hacked.
Yep. A new
What
one
about
that we
else?
just found
Yeah,
out.
go ahead.
Gil, I haven't even told you. We just found out today. An ex-dealer buddy of ours who still has an account on some of the load boards and stuff was moving two of his personal cars. A transporter who had registered on said load board picked up two of his cars and they're now gone. It's a Rolls Royce and a vintage Ferrari. And interestingly enough, he contacted us to say, have you ever heard of this before? And when we did some research, we called we Googled the DOT number on FMCSA, and the DOT number is a guy who actually has the DOT, but he moves fruit. So they stole someone's DOT information, registered themselves on several load boards as an auto carrier, was approved, put on the load boards, and then started taking loads, even though they don't move cars. It was done to 5 different dealers. One of our friends of ours, who's an ex-dealer, had 2 of his cars stolen, but he was getting calls from about somewhere between 7 and 10 dealers of cars that had disappeared. So that's a whole new one, just of creating a fake registration with a company that actually exists but doesn't move automobiles. So that's
Are
a
we at the
registration
point?
issue.
Is this being talked about on the dark web or something? How did so many hackers get in on this? Because the value of the vehicle and you just ship it overseas?
I mean, Gil can probably knows better than this because they move a lot of high-line personal cars because of what Montway does was built on, right? Is these guys are looking for specific vehicles. They're looking for they're not looking for the 10-year-old car. They're looking for the Maybachs. They're looking for the Rolls Royce. They're looking for the Ferraris. They're moving things that they can quickly get. And it's interesting. You made a comment earlier, Jay. It's a race. We had 2 Rolls Royces that we stopped because 2 transporters showed up. And unfortunately, the transporters don't know. They think they're doing the right thing. 2 transporters showed up to pick up these 2 Rolls Royces, and our dealer asked us why we sent 2 different trucking companies. We didn't. We sent one, and the other one was was sent by a fraudulent broker who had their account hacked. So it's interesting, but it's out there. I mean, we know from the meeting out in Phoenix that these guys talk on the dark web about, just change your name. These guys will never know if you've been banned from their company, and they'll come back out.
So there we go. Okay, so high value vehicles, great way to make money fast. Vehicles are easy to steal. Research all the load boards and just have at it. Because as we talk about it, you can pretty much do whatever you want. We're in the Wild West. It's been this way for far too long. Now you got the FBI and the FMCSA involved. What's going on there?
Yeah, so we reached out to the FMCSA. One of my team members had a contact there, and they agreed to meet with us. So we met with them for about an hour a few weeks ago, and we just expressed our concerns of what we're seeing in the industry. And I also advised them that we have this broker advisory board, and they were willing to meet with us. So we met with them about a week and a half ago, and they've agreed to have another meeting with us next week. On your previous slide that you posted about the FMCSA, they did indicate that sometime in the first quarter of 2025, they are implementing a new registration system, which has the AI capabilities of checking identification and whatnot. So on the front end, that's going to be helpful. But I think one of the things that I do want to point out, they did help us about 2 weeks ago on a scam that coincidentally it was the same scammer that had scammed us back in September through the load board again. So we notified the FMCSA of this particular broker. They looked it up. that broker had issues in the past, so they had worked very quickly to have their bond revoked and their authority revoked. So, it's great to have their eyes and ears, but we've seen that they are actually willing to help, us individually and collectively as as an industry as a whole.
Yeah. I think some of the scary things he said, though, Gil, remember if I'm making this up, 18 of 20 driver's license he sees are fake.
Yep.
But they will pass the scanning test, Jay. So that's actually kind of concerning that they're seeing this much, fraud from the beginning. But of course, being a government agency, he also said they have to take paperwork. They can't just do it strictly over the web. I guess that's a government law, but it's an interesting, he says he sees it all the time.
I know this is kind of a tough topic to get specific about on a live show. I get that. So I just want to say again, I think it's great that we were able to even have this conversation tonight, and also help us out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in. We're gonna bring in John Robertson, Domenic Hooven, Alisha Buelt, and we're gonna continue this conversation because I think it's pretty incredible, and it should be noted in the live chat as well that we have multiple brokers, companies represented on this call. Domenic, I see you coming in here first. Domenic, please say hello. Can you see us and hear us okay? While he's getting his audio connected. Alisha, can you see me and hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, Jay.
All right, great. Alisha, great to have you back. Do me a favor before Domenic joins in the audio. Alisha, please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, Alisha Buelt here from ACERTUS. I lead the product team here at our organization. We're an automotive logistics and services organization, supporting obviously this industry. So this topic is relevant, and happy to be here tonight.
Thanks so much, Alisha. And Domenic will be in here in a second. John, can you see me and hear me okay? Still working on that. This is what live shows are all about. Plus, I just throw people right into the kitty. And, I mean, it's not a webinar. This isn't planned. There's been no prep. Alisha, how did our prep meeting go? We didn't have one. Right?
None.
But this issue is so important. Why is this a big deal, Alisha?
Oh, I think in general, everybody in this space, this should be kind of utmost importance. It impacts the entire carrier network. It impacts us as brokers. It impacts all of the customers out there that have product to be shipped. It's really a pretty detrimental issue that we as a collective industry have to combat, for the security and long-term stability of this whole industry. So I think it should be a joint effort that everybody should feel really passionate about trying to make a difference and doing what we can to combat bad actors in the space and keep vehicles safely flowing to their intended destinations.
And check.
Nope, sorry, Jay. You there?
Yeah, John, I can see you. I can hear you. But before I get to John, Domenic, please say hello and tell us a bit more about you.
Jay, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on the show. It's also, I don't know if I've been introduced to any of you folks, but it's a privilege to be sharing this advisory board with some of the most influential voices in the industry. And I think Dan said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. As we are competitors, we all know, but this forum allows us to be allies in a sense to keep us insulated from these issues that are and scams that are going on in the industry. And like I said, just a pleasure to be a part of the board and hopefully learn some things along the way.
Thanks, Domenic. We know you're on the front lines, so I got some questions coming up. John, you can see me, you can hear me.
Good to see you again, Jay. Sorry, I was having a little audio issue there.
It's all good. We're live. It's Zoom. It's Tuesday night. For anyone that's not familiar with who you are and what you do, please say hello and tell us a little bit more.
So, I go by JR. I work with SYCN Auto Logistics, formerly known as Ship Your Car Now, still the mothership's name, and everyone in the industry is fairly familiar with that. We're proud to be a part of this broker advisory board. I think I've been around the industry for a long time. I remember when fraud was just having some truck driver drive into Mannheim, PA, and pick up vehicles without releases before we had releases. So I've been around that long before it was even electronic. But I think the overriding theme, and I just want to build on what Alisha said, and of course Dan and Gil were saying all along, and that is this group gives us the opportunity as the white hat type brokers in this industry to eliminate the bottom feeding fraud portion of this industry. We can all compete, but none of us can compete when there's cheaters out there. So how do we get rid of all the cheaters? And then Dan and Alisha and Domenic, we can all compete to get the best carriers, but let's start with the pool of best carriers. Let's get the cheaters out of the industry. Let's get the cheater brokers out of the industry. Let's get the cheater carriers out of the industry, because there's those too. And then there's 100% the guys that are actual pure and fraud alone. Let's get them out of the industry, and let's raise the bar, and then we can all compete on a fair plane. But in the meanwhile, we all got to bond together to get rid of them, because they hurt all of us. If they're hurting me, they're hurting everybody. So,
well, it's interesting you say that, because we already had a problem with double brokering and carriers messing up all over the place, and now we have this, like, dark web hacking.
Yeah.
Like, here's my question. I'm dying to ask: who has seen something fresh this week? Wow.
Jay, if I may speak, we had a situation happen a couple weeks ago. Here at PAL, one of our dispatchers fielded a call, and looking for a load. It was 2 high-value vehicles, and the carrier, the bad actor was just so eager to get the load. Send me the load. Hold on, our dispatcher, hold your horses. We got to onboard you. Send you our onboarding form. This and that. So he said, okay, could you send it to this email? The email on my FMCSA is outdated.
Right.
Being a new dispatcher, he didn't think anything of it. He sent the packet, but we have a second step where we require our carriers to be additionally insured. So that was sent to the email that was listed on the FMCSA profile, and the actual owner of that DOT number and carrier company gave us a call and said, my DOT information's been hacked. Do not dispatch any loads to carrier posing as our company. We don't even move cars. So it was similar to the scenario that Dan was playing out earlier on the show. So
I had kind of a funny one this week. I was down in Boca in the offices. Most of everybody knows I live in Detroit, but I spend a lot of time in Boca at our offices. And I overheard one of our dispatchers, and he says, "Boy, these 2 dispatchers at this company are stupid. The one guy wouldn't even take the job for $1,100, and now another guy called for the same job, and he's willing to give us $1,400 for it. Boy, they're stupid. They don't even talk to each other." And I ran out of my office. I said, "Time out, guys. Red flag, you think?" It's like,
that's really great that you say that, JR. I think every company has to be very vigilant to look out for the red flags. We stress at Montway to train our dispatchers to look out for those red flags, and also the right hand has to know what the left hand is doing. Our dispatchers work closely with our compliance team. If there's any issues, they immediately contact our compliance department. And again, it's just we have to remain vigilant, looking out for all of these bad actors and what they're doing. Training dispatchers, training the customer service is really important. It's very rare these days where you can just get someone just right out of high school to take that type of job. We really need to invest in personnel and train them.
Yeah.
The biggest thing too, Gil, is it's shifting all the time. Like what we were seeing 6 months ago is different what we're seeing now. They're adapting to our precautions, right? And we have to continue to stay one step ahead of them. the broker advisory board is familiar with this, Jay, is we're having talks with all the load boards like we did with FMCSA to help them to say, hey, here are the red flags we see. Montway sees this, ACERTUS sees this, PAL, they see this, we see this. Here's what we see. Can you guys help us take all the flags from all these different companies that, again, we're competitors, but we're trying to, clean up this industry and say, you guys are the ones who have, this is where it's starting. Can you guys help us? So, we're going to see how those calls go. I think they will be receptive. I mean, I hope they're receptive, because at the end of the day, if not, we're going to be fighting a very big uphill battle. And again, we're continuing to do this to help each other out, because look, I mean, we talk now. I guarantee if we could start naming different things, we're all going to look at each other and go, oh yeah, I know that person. I know it happened with us. So if they're doing it to one of us, eventually they're going to get stopped there. They're going to go to another company. And all we're doing is damaging this industry already, worse and worse, if we don't stop it as fast as we can.
Yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say, I kind of echo what Gil said. We do kind of the same thing here at ACERTUS. We have a pretty rigorous carrier onboarding process, and we do that not with the intentions of being a difficult broker to work with, but honestly, it's just truly to ensure that we're onboarding quality, legit carriers that are in this space. And we understand that it's frustrating, some of the steps that it requires to go through to get onboarded and approved. But at the end of the day, we're doing that just in an effort to try to keep our carrier network secure. And
well, so, don't you think, Alisha, that the good carriers, I mean, this is my opinion from AutoSled, because we have the same thing, is the good carriers don't mind, because you know why? They want to be on, 100%. They want to work with the good people. The people right. who are trying to jam things like you talked about earlier, with the $1,100, and you're talking about Domenic with the give me the load. They're just trying to skate the system. They're not doing it the right way, and that's the biggest thing. So I think the good ones don't care.
Well, and the carriers, let's talk about it, guys. The carriers are victims. I mean, some of these scams directly impact the carrier. A good carrier gets a bad name because somebody steals his stuff. So a good carrier should embrace this effort, because they know we're getting rid of the guys that are giving them a bad rap too. So this is really an all-inclusive, effort to get out and get this cleaned up, because the only guys who aren't going to like this, guess what? The bottom feeder brokers, the crazy carriers, and the fraud artists. Those are the only guys that aren't going to like it. Anybody who's doing what they should be doing in this industry loves what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think that's what, honestly, we should probably spend a little bit of time talking about, is like, what are the things that carriers can do in this space to try to protect themselves from these situations. And I mean, honestly, it's things like, know the person or the company that you're booking loads from. Do you have experience already working with them that you know that they are a reputable party in the space to get loads from? So that's obviously a huge 100%. Thing. I mean, look at reviews, look at ratings. Have you ever hauled for them before? If you have they paid you? Have they already paid you? Because that's another red flag to be looking for. And then other things that like we've observed in this space too is things where you will never get a dispatch from ACERTUS that does not disclose all the pickup information you need and all of the delivery information you need out of the gate. If you are getting loads assigned to you that do not disclose that information to you until you pick up the vehicle, huge red flag. You should know that out of the gate, that you should be questioning whether you should actually ship that car or not, because that's a huge concern.
With the different contact information, right, Alisha? Because I know you guys wouldn't put, here's Mr. Smith's delivery number, but don't contact them. Call this number or text us.
Right.
No one's doing that.
Right.
No one on here is, we're giving you all the information you need. We're not going to tell you to contact something else and tell you to change the delivery address. That's not what's happening.
Right. That is going to sniff out a lot of those. Call Bob, not the right.
What we saw is, again, I can confidently assure, I'm pretty positive that no one on this call dispatches outside of their own individual proprietary platforms, right? So that's one thing. But these are not coming from those platforms. They're coming from third-party load boards. And what the dispatch sheets are saying, XYZ broker at 555555555 is the contact. but then it says in the bottom additional text only, and there's a different number. That's a red flag. Why can't I call the main number? Why do I have to text some secret, number? That doesn't make sense. So, and again, I know that's how one of our cars were stolen, because they texted that number. They said, "No, don't take it there. Just me. I'm going to be in Atlanta. Just drop it off in Atlanta. Don't worry about taking it to Miami." What transporter is going to say, "Oh, I can save 700 miles and I'm going to get paid full freight"? I'm in.
Yeah.
Well, and the other side of it too, guys. I mean, you talk about educating people how to avoid this. We've got shippers that could do a better job of avoiding it. I mean, you've got shippers that are handing over keys. You've got shippers that are leaving vehicles out. We've got shippers that are not making sure that the driver's the right driver. Anybody can go on Central Dispatch, look at a load's origin, figure out what city it's in. It's a brand new Mazda. They're going to call the 3 dealerships and go, which one of you's got the purple Mazda? They know where to drive in and pick up the purple Mazda. Now, when some sales guy is just going, "Sure, you're here for the purple Mazda, here's the keys," we got a problem. So there's a whole nother vertical there that needs to be educated on how to be smart and not be taken advantage of. So there's a lot of work to do here, guys. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that we're missing talking about is how are these brokers or carriers getting hacked? So I think the one way of curtailing this is multi-factor authentication. I know a particular load board has that ability to do that, but does not make it mandatory.
That apparently has been changed. I got an email this morning saying that effective November 1st or November 15th, it is going to be mandatory, but I don't know if it's for I don't know if it's for everyone, whether it's only brokers or transporters. I don't know just yet, Gil. I've asked that question and have not got a response.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sentiment just goes technology is definitely obviously what we're all living in now, as far as that's just the reality of this industry and the reality of the world now at this point. But with that comes an obligation that you're doing what you can to put up the best security posture that you can. So there are a lot of different options out there for having multi-factor authentication implemented. And I think that at this point should just be considered table stakes as a requirement on any kind of platform, marketplace, any kind of a location where people are logging in and have access to load details. That has to be a requirement at this point.
I mean, you have to do it. You have to do it for Hulu. I mean, it's Hulu. You're watching TV. You still got to do it sometimes. Let's be honest about it. We're not stealing your TV shows here. We're stealing $100, $250, $300,000 cars. I think it should be required. I agree. It should be table stakes.
I've got some notes about red flags for carriers, brokers, shippers, dealers, and I don't have the flags. You're putting the flags together. I want to get a copy of that, and I want to help. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's ongoing. But what I think is what there are so many places that carriers get loads, whether they're platforms or brokerages themselves, or then dealers, etc. What I find so interesting is the art of the steal of the load itself once it's been posted. It seems like that. I don't know if the verification of ID is going to stop that. That is a major thoroughfare for fraud, is the ability for hackers to, I guess, create fake accounts, and they're looking at the loads just like everybody else, and then they've got, maybe they're just filter by Rolls-Royce. Okay, we're going to steal that one, then we're going to start working on that now. And then we're going to start, intercepting the load. That seems to be, what do you do about that?
Well, JR made an interesting point, and I agree with him about the shipper. Right, the pickup and drop off locations, or the pickup location has some responsibility here. And I know it's hard. I sat in a retail chair for 20 years. I was in a car dealership, hair on fire, salesman, finance, accounting, everyone's yelling at you. Customers want a better deal, and the phone's ringing, and you know you got a car moving, and some guy walks in and says, I'm here to pick up the car. You toss him the keys, or the porter the keys, and they go out and they get to give the car out with no checking of anything. And it's hard because you're asking people sometimes, who are hair on fire and might not care to care. If said shipper buys a car, if I buy a car from you, Jay, and I send you the $600,000, what is your incentive to verify that shipper is the shipper who says he's going to pick up the car? You got your 600 grand. If that car gets stolen, it's on me, right? So how do I convince you to care? So that's an issue, but I agree with JR, because one time it's going to happen to you, and you are going to care because you're going to be on the other end of the shoe, the other end of that coin, and it's going to be a problem. But it's hard. You have to educate everyone. But the problem with this, JR also said, all that information lives on the load boards. It's not that hard to figure out where these cars are coming from based off the dealer zip codes and all the information. So it's partially screening the people getting on to make sure the right people are getting on to be able to see the loads, locking their systems down, what Gil talked about, and Alisha talked about the two-factor authentications. It's all these things as a combined effort. It's not one thing. It's going to be hundreds of things that are going to line up to make it hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and it's I do understand it's harder in actual implementing this and executing on it, like you guys are alluding to at the dealership front, but it is really important that dealers or anybody, whatever kind of shipper that you are out there moving vehicles, it is really important that there is knowledge around what does your transportation arm look like for your organization. Because, for example, our customers, they should know they're contracting work through ACERTUS to move their vehicles. Mm-hmm. Every carrier that is coming into their store to pick up a vehicle that they have arranged better have ACERTUS paperwork with them. And if they do not, that is not eligible to be released, or a call better be getting made to ACERTUS right away saying, hey, what's going on? So-and-so's here to pick it up. But I do appreciate that is easier said than done. And in the very real reality, there are cars coming in and leaving all hours of the day at these facilities. But that has to be a very serious thing that's considered at all of these locations, because this issue is growing and just continues to grow substantially every week. And so whether they're paying for it right now or they pay for it later, it is going to continue to add up. And I mean, ultimately the cost of transportation over time is going to increase to compensate the fraud claims payout that has to take place. So at some point it may not be immediate, but the cost will start to snowball and impact them at the end of the day. So any additional support or, focus from the dealership level, the auction level, all of that is so important that they're actually doing their part in trying to help make sure they're releasing vehicles to the proper companies.
Yeah, Alisha, one of the things that you said, I totally agree with in terms of, it's going to cost everybody. For example, insurance, cargo insurance. We didn't have a claim filed over the last year from August to August, yet because of the fraud in the industry, our rates went up 7%. So it's affecting everybody, even though you're not a victim.
Well, and here's the funny part is it's a cart and the horse thing too, right? Because the reason that some of the carriers are doing fraud is because of the cost of the insurance. We've got guys, I had one, Alisha and I were talking about it at one of the shows a month or so ago. We couldn't figure out what he was doing. He had like different DOT placards in his back seat, and he would tape one on for different jobs that he would show up for. So when we wanted a picture of the truck, he was the carrier we wanted. But then he'd change his DOT to somebody else because they had insurance coverage. But that wasn't who he was running the load for. So he had zero insurance. Well, at the same time, these guys are, and it's because the driver himself had no insurance because he couldn't afford it. So he's out there playing these games because of the insurance. In the meanwhile, every time he gets in an accident and it's not covered, the insurance rates go up because of it. So it's really, they're making their own problems in some of these instances.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I mean, I sit here and I just think about how difficult I mean, Jay, you talked about it for a long time on your show that the life of the auto hauler and just truck driver in general continues to get harder and harder and harder as time goes on. And this additional component makes it no easier. I mean, now it's almost like they have to be skeptical over every single load that they're booking, on scrutinizing, is this legit or is this not legit? And like we already talked about, most of the time, unfortunately, they're just a victim and they don't even realize they're involved in a bad situation and handing off keys at delivery to a person that has now stolen the vehicle. And so it's just really unfortunate. It's also honestly quite scary that you never know the people you're interacting with on, whether your life is in danger or not, quite frankly. So really makes you appreciate and empathize for these guys on the road on what it takes for them to run successful business. And one bad hit where they get pinned with claims that they just fell victim to, that they had no bad intentions. I mean, that could be detrimental and put them out of business, which is so unfortunate, when they're just trying to make a living. So it's unfortunate that the challenges and the heartaches continue to compound for being really successful in this industry for the carriers.
I don't want to dampen the mood because it's so bright, but I can't help but think, this is kind of like the 9/11 of auto transport, where this is going to change the face of this industry. It's already starting to. An information lockdown, an increase in costs. You've got, yes, new faces of carriers all the time that are going to learn this new landscape of like heightened fraud, and it's not going to be whatever it was.
Well, the goal of the broker board, which we all are part of, is to really share information and how do we weed out the bad people and lift up the good people. Again, Alisha's right. I mean, what everyone said is accurate. It's the insurance costs. It hurts people. It hurts the good carriers. How do we lift them up and make them feel comfortable working with the brokers that are reputable brokers, and get rid of the bad actors, the bad brokers, the bad transporters, right? How do we, the ones who don't want to play by the rules, like JR was saying with switching insurance and things, those are the ones that are causing these issues. If we can, as an industry, and again, we have a lot of power with all some of the biggest brokers in the country, to have these conversations candidly. And again, we're competitors, but we help each other out. We want to make sure our lives are better and easier because it'll make the industry stronger and better. And that's our goal. So you're right, Jay. It's going to be an interesting time for the next year or so. Hopefully we can get some of these things figured out and then it starts to get cleaned up. And that wild west is just the West now. We can lose the wild part. It can actually be a better place to work, and be a great industry and a great career to have.
Yeah, and Jay, I think there's a lot. I mean, the topic tonight is fraud, and as Dan said, it's really, that's just it was an easy thing for us to all grab and jump onto first as a group and go, hey, let's work together. Let's get this done. But, in our meetings, we're brainstorming all kinds of things, different ways to certify different brokers, different ways to certify different carriers, different ways to educate, different people, different ways to, you look at, the guys know I always throw this out there as a great example is the ARA. They have certified agents now that could do assessments and things on cars and stuff like that. Why don't we have that in our industry? In our industry, everybody's a cowboy, right? So let's tighten that up. Let's get more legit. Let's get more organized as a group and create some of those barriers that make it a lot harder for, that grandma's basement broker that I always joke about to get in the business and get a number. And then we can hand some of that stuff to the FMCSA, which does struggle with how they onboard people. And they do have a lot of red tape and government BS going on that they have to follow, as Dan mentioned, that handcuffs them. But maybe we can give them some better tools as an industry to say, hey, here's one we came up with, make this a barrier to entry. Here's another one, make this a barrier to entry. And help formulate that on the front end, because if they can't get in that pipeline, then we never have to worry about them. That's the entry point today. That's where that's our border. And that's where, we got to put a stop to it, because that's, once they're in there, it's tough.
I think those are some great points. Anybody have a verification third-party software tool that they want to plug or applaud? We've heard of Highway and right.
Yeah, we invested in Highway recently. We've been vetting it for the last 8 or 9 months, and finally went with Highway. If you look on LinkedIn's the Highway page on LinkedIn, they have a lot of statistics of carriers and brokers' credentials being hacked on the FMCSA. But yeah, our compliance team uses Highway as a tool, and it's been tremendous. Pinpointing the bad actors, emails being changed, phone numbers being changed. It's a great tool.
Yeah, part of our vetting, we just went through and actually we did switch over to RMIS about a little over a year ago. But we've since revisited that, and we actually dug in and said, okay, what's the actual source of information? Where is all this information in this third-party tool coming from? And most of these tools are doing nothing other than screen scraping and stealing information from government sites in order to produce it to us in a little more palatable manner. So it's a pie chart now instead of just a number. It's a rating against a national average as opposed to just a rating. So they're a conglomerator of information, which we could all do ourselves. We all have ID departments. We could do that. So my goal, and we're currently investigating Highway because some people on our board made high recommendations of it. Thank you very much. And we're seeing the same thing. And so my pitch is, if anybody's vetting in that kind of stuff, look for the value add above and beyond just the numbers and the decimals that you could gather yourself. What are they doing to assess that data and provide you with information you can actually use to make good business decisions, that you're not having to hire another department to come up with those decisions? It's actually coming to you in the software tool. So far, I see that in Highway, and I'm really pleased with what we're having them test a couple different things, but that's kind of put them above and beyond from. And no, I'm not a paid sponsor. I just joined this ship, they seem to be doing a great job.
Grabbing information and spitting it back out. It's actually being
right. Yeah, I would agree. It's we all know the FMCSA is underfunded, understaffed, and these third-party information systems are only as good as the information that they're able to cull. So just as important as a system like that, they can present the information to us in a digestible manner, but it's just as important to be educated on what to look for, and keeping educating our carriers and educating the customers. So it's certainly an uphill battle, but yeah.
I think I echo what everybody said on here. I think also too, just taking it a step further is being able to make sure that you're actively monitoring the activity going on in your own ecosystem, right? Like we have our own carrier management program, not only from the onboarding perspective, but then the ongoing management of those accounts and just monitoring of that activity. So just making sure that all of those tools are really great, but like we all are the ones that are experiencing the transactions directly with the carriers all day long. So your experience is also very relevant with what that plays out. So making sure you're making use of your own data, and obviously most of us on this call are pretty significant size and scale now at this point. So we all are supporting many transactions on an annual basis. So that also is a great kind of reference point to supplement obviously already the great information that you're getting from some of these third parties.
Agreed.
I just wrote down scam log, like a list of, is there a list? Hey, put this on the scam log. Rolls-Royce taken last week. Here's what happened.
We could tell you that, Jay, but then we'd have to kill you.
Right, then we'd have to kill you. Okay. That's fine. I can live with that.
You're traveling into the top secret information now, Jay.
All right, good. So scam log, check. We have that. And then red flag lists. Do you already have some of that kind of compiling?
there's a lot
do.
of things that the broker board does.
I'm really going to die after this.
There's a lot of things we do that we want to keep very close to our chest right now, because until we get it to the point that we want to roll it out, because again, the more information you put out there, the more information you give it to said hackers, said scammers, right? So we're very, very tight-lipped about what we do and how we do things, because we don't want them to have intimate knowledge of any of our individual platforms or us as a collective and what our plans are. Because if we give them that, we're giving them a blueprint to work around.
Yep.
Okay, that's fair. Somebody else told me that earlier today, by the way, so that's cool. But we still have, okay, but there's still stuff we can do. So, meaning, aside from the trade secret info, please do share with me that which I can continue to share on Thursdays, because I think we did hit it. If you've got the shippers need to care, verify who they're giving the car to. That one sounds huge. And then carriers that are victims too, right? I think there's one in the live chat right now.
I will tell you, Jay, the biggest thing that I think that carriers can do for themselves, and I see this still today, even though it came out a year and a half ago. I think something changed that raised its head again. But there are so many carriers that still think they can take a job from another carrier and it's not double brokering. And it 100% is. And so if you've got one message you want to educate carriers on, you can't do that. It's double brokering. Insurance is not going to follow that job.
The same thing too with what Alisha said is very important, I think, is know who you work for. Your transporter, and know who you're taking the load from. Look, I mean, these 5 companies right here, and then the other 10 that were on the broker advisory board, you say their name, people in the industry know who we are. They're not, as JR said, they're not grandma's basement broker, right? They're not that little, again, and I don't want to, crush anyone, but at the end of the day, we are all established companies. We pay well. We take care of our clients. We take care of our shippers. We take care of our transporters. We do all the right things. So if the load's coming from us, you should feel confident that you're getting. If not, and if something, and again, if it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it probably is a duck. If something smells fishy, it's fishy. If someone's asking you to take it somewhere else, if someone's asking you to text someone else, if someone's paying you cash on delivery, paying you more than it's really worth, you should. That's a red flag. Raise your hand and call the company you're getting it from and go, something doesn't feel right here, guys. But that's on the carriers. So it's a combination of both sides of the ecosystem.
Well, and JR, what I was going to say is, I think that's part of the problem, is that what you were talking about, where that's double brokering. Hey, carrier, you can't give it to another carrier. That is either double. Is it technically double brokering? Is that the technical term? Okay. Yep. But even that's one of the old problems. It's not even one of the.
Oh yeah, true. That's an old. That's one of the old ones. Been around for a while. We're just piling on top.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of these, it has gotten this hacker, fraud, scammer stuff is the next generation of big problem, and it is going to drive up costs, and it is going to drive up hassle to an industry that already has a cost and hassle problem. So there's not really any good news here. That's what I do.
But I think we're all trying, again, this board is trying to solve that. We're trying to be the sheriffs of the industry, for lack of a better word. I mean, I don't know what else to call us. We're trying to wear the white hat, as Gil said earlier, and ride out there and do the right thing.
I think that I just want to draw attention. Thank you, Ollie, in the live chat. I think that the live chat right now represents an opportunity, current problem, future opportunity, and that folks that feel, I'm seeing several comments that are directed in many directions, which again is common for this industry. And we almost need, well, it would be me, but it could be anybody, that generic third party that could try to help in a way that a single company may not be able to. This industry is rife with a lot of just you know, gosh, I don't even know how to finish that sentence. Domenic, you have something to say. What is it?
No, I mean, yeah,
No?
no, I mean, I think you know, it's rife. It's the industry is running rampant with scams right now, and you know, there's a lot that, you know, I'm learning by the day, but you know, I just, you know, I was hoping that we'd have some time to, and I maybe asked the board if there's, you know, anything that pertains to like geography in terms of scams, right? So I had a
Demographics.
yeah,
Very good.
so I had a load that I just could not get moved to El Paso, and I called one of my guys that usually runs from Texas West, and I asked him, you know, why can't I get this load moved, this price right, this and that, and he said, and I only worked with him a couple times. He's like, oh, you must be new to this, and I was like sitting here, you know, 4 years in, I'm like, ouch, but no, but he um he told me, you know, there's you know, a lot, their customs is right there. It's a difficult area. And he said, you know, many cars are stolen now and not everyone can risk it. So I didn't really get much more out of him than that. So I was hoping that, you know, maybe some of the other folks on this board could provide some insight there.
Yeah, we've noticed some activity out in the Houston area and also the Los Angeles area. Those were two hot areas that we were made aware of. You know, there's rings out in the Houston area and the Los Angeles area that are either tied to the cartel in Mexico or Middle East and Russia. You know, we have you know, what's interesting is on a few instances of where we fell victim. Um, it seems that the local authorities aren't, you know, they're aware of it, but they're just not willing to even talk to us about it. So we went one step further and hired a private investigation firm to investigate the source of these thefts, and we've made quite a bit of progress. We were able to recover 3 of the vehicles, um, but you know, without going that extra step, we wouldn't have gotten any help from the authorities.
Well, and I think too, just with the article that Jay, you know, shared at the beginning of the discussion, as well as what some others have shared on this conversation today, it also now it seems as though it's very targeted at these high dollar valued assets. And that, you know, that unfortunately is those have a target on their back. And so I think not only is there a geographic concern, I think there's also a valuation concern of these really high-end vehicles that you have to be even more heightened security around those.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so with those dispatches too, as you go into, well, we have this number, that number, it creates an environment where if you can jump in at the right time with the right information, man, it's yours, and you may not really be up to snuff at all. I do want to do this. We're on our personal time, all of you, so I want to thank you for that. I don't want to keep this going because I know that there's another show here.
Sure.
Hint. So next year we'll come back. We'll do this again. But final thoughts before I let you all go. Anybody with a final thought that, man, we got to talk about this for a second? Anything that we missed?
I think we covered a lot.
We did cover a lot.
I think we've covered a ton, and again, I'm you know, I'm grateful for the board. I think these people, you know, again, we're competitors, but we appreciate what each other do, and we're trying to help each other. And I think it's only going to get stronger, Jay, as what we continue to talk about. It's not just this topic. There's tons of things, and I think it's amazing that these group of people with probably hundreds of years of knowledge really in this industry, and everyone's resources, willing to throw their company's resources at this is amazing. And I do believe this group will get this straightened out. It might take them, but we'll get it done.
Yeah, and I echo Dan's sentiment, and I think, Jay, one of the things that I'm seeing already, and you guys have probably heard some of this too, but I mean, I've got some pretty significant shippers that have heard rumor of this that are just like, yeah, what are you guys doing? How can I support you guys? What can I, I know I might not be the guy who's going to be in there, but we're going to value what you're doing. So what can we do to support you? And I think the more we build that support from our customer base, from the shippers and everybody, the more we're going to be able to build this out and carry it through the industry and make a real difference. So, anybody who's got anybody like that, to Dan's point earlier, we do have our trade secret stuff. We don't want to share everything, but from a perspective of, are we out there and are we trying to make the industry better and take it to the next level? I think we just need to share that and get the word out and let people know, yeah, there's a group that's trying to make it better, and get on the bus. Get on the bus or get under it, right?
And I would just like to say thank you to Jay for hosting this forum. I think it's extremely important, especially now more than ever. And thank you to everybody for having me on this forum. So I think it's big of everyone to band together and kind of try to circumvent these issues. So
hang on, Dominic, I got one for you.
Love it. Yeah, I was gonna wear mine, but
he was wearing that Yankees hat.
That was a Yankees hat. I saw that too. Right, he worked it in there.
A couple hours. I saw that.
All right,
it's got another one. All right,
they're going down, but our CEO Gavin's a big fan, so I had to wear the Yankees. I had to rep the Yankees for him. So
that was for Gavin, and a shout out to David Sperau. David started this conversation. That's why this was a show tonight on ATI. Gil, Dan, Domenic, Alisha, JR, thank you all so much for taking the personal time out of your schedule to join us for this important issue. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Bye now.
Have a good night.
Thanks, y'all. And that's a cut. Okay, cool. All right, Jay, you got 30 seconds. I want to thank Superflow Systems, Auto Hauler Exchange, ClearPath TMS, Murphy Auto Transport Services, and I want to thank everybody that was on this panel tonight. Again, David Sperau at AutoSled. He called me. He said, man, we got to talk about this. And then we got Gil on the phone, put together the panel with Alisha, JR, and Domenic. That's what happens. That was just a few weeks ago. If you've got a show that we need to put together, send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com, the original name of this program, now ATI. You can go to atiautobusiness.com and fill out the contact form. You can do that. You can put it in the comments, text me, shout out, whatever it takes. That we got some important stuff we got to keep talking about. I got some interesting shows already lined up. Thank you all so much in the live chat. Shout out live chat. Man, that's awesome. And I did just create YouTube memberships on ATI. Not exactly sure what that's all about, but I want to help build the community more. And I think that we're going to see, I don't know what we're going to see, but I think we're going to see something. I think we're already starting to see something new to fight against all this craziness. So Tuesday nights, Thursdays noon, and email who about what. You can email me, autotransportintel@gmail.com. You can email me. Somebody's like, oh my God, did he really do that? Yes, because on Thursdays we dive into some of the minutia, and Ali, you should join us on Thursday and say hello. Now this Thursday is the Halloween show, but it doesn't matter. I'm so glad. This is something I did want to say. On a Thursday, on a Tuesday, it doesn't matter what the show is about. The first segment is always news. Tuesday nights, the first 15 minutes, always news. Thursdays, the first 30 minutes, always news, topics, and rhetoric. I throw in a soapbox here and there because I can't help it, man. You know, at this point, I've been doing this long enough. I've been creating content for decades, but I've been doing ATI for years, and I'm no longer making the show that anybody wants me to make. I'm making the show that I think is important. That's what I'm doing. I am doing it my way, going Frank Sinatra all the time on this thing. So thank you so much, but this show is for the community. I'm covering important topics, and I don't really care if some people don't like it. It's important. So let's keep on, I don't know, doing business, having relationships, talking leadership, and cars are people too, and all that great stuff. All right, here comes the car hauler. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Join us Thursday. Take care.